I made the decision to have a conversation because if there's one thing that I do now that I didn't do before is have a conversation. And, the fact of the matter is, 3 years ago, 3 years ago, everything changed. 3 years ago, everything changed because everything shut down and we are still waking up from that dream, that nightmare that happened 3 years ago. But 4 years ago, I felt the full effect of what it was like to work a job for the first time where you had no control over what was going on. I know that from a standpoint of being an employee, the fact of the matter is 90% of the time you have to do what your boss tells you to do, whether you want to do it or not. But the fact of the matter is, I always felt like I had control to be something more than just an employee and to do more than just be an employee. That I had the freedom to be able to do the job the best to my ability and to, basically have a life outside of work. And through no fault of my own, without asking questions, back in 2019, I felt like I lost that. Because unknowingly, my employer was under the orders to limit the hours of one employee because of, certain employment stuff and blah, 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 blah. And I was working a lot more often, and I didn't know why. And instead of taking the extra days and embracing the extra money, I wasn't handling it correctly. Mentally, it drained me. It drained me to the nth degree to where I was basically handling it wrong. I was letting my frustration out in an unconstructive manner, and I didn't realize the signs at the time, but I see it in a different light now, and the reason is because of hindsight. The fact of the matter is, at that time, I was basically thinking that I needed to do something else. I was not fulfilled anymore in the doing the job that I was doing. I wanted to do something else. I wanted to go somewhere else. I was threatening to quit if they didn't give me less hours, and I was trying to figure out a logical way to shrink me back to the schedule that I used to have, to where I wasn't just working, and to where I actually had a life outside of work, because God forbid I'm allowed to have a life outside of work. But instead of going to my manager and basically telling him, I need a mental health break, instead of accepting the fact that mentally I was spent and I needed something more, it wasn't that I was stifled. It wasn't that I was not fulfilled. It wasn't that I wasn't, it was the fact that the extra time that I was spending there and not having the opportunity to unwind and get my mind where my mind was not just fixated on work, and where my mind could be fixated on other things and have other interests and have other life goals going on, to where I was thinking about things that didn't have to do with the 9 to 5 and what I was doing at that particular time in that particular area. But I didn't have the opportunity because all I was thinking about was work and having to go back the next day. And I absolutely hated it because I never let myself unwind. I never let myself relax, and relationships suffered. Relationships suffered. Had I, if I was in this position now, I would handle it differently. Because I gave my job everything, and instead of stepping up and talking to my managers and telling them how I was feeling and what was going on, instead of talking to anybody and stepping up and telling them what was going on, I brushed it under the rug and just went on with business as usual. And that is more than likely the reason why near the end of 2019 I had a mental breakdown. It is because I didn't want to admit that I couldn't handle a simple work schedule. A part-time work schedule. I couldn't handle it. Because I was working 6 days a week, and I wanted to just not have to think about work every day. I wanted to just have a life and have a break in between work. I didn't think it was fair, and I remember every single day going and having the conversations with people about the fact that I was working more often than people were working full-time, because at least the people that worked full-time had 2 days off. I didn't have 2 days off. And honestly, I thought it was a sign of weakness going to my manager or going to somebody and telling them how I was feeling. Because I didn't know how to put it into words. After breaking down, I discovered that was the first time I discovered I have anxiety. Because sitting in this room, I had an anxiety attack. I was sitting in silence, and I was just sitting there. My mind was racing. It was just silence. My heart started racing. I couldn't catch my breath, and I was having an anxiety attack. And the fact of the matter is, it scared me. It scared me because it was the first time anything like that happened. And that was when I went to my parents for help. And told them what was going on. And ever since then, I have an air cleaner in my room that runs every night. Every night when I go to bed, and for weeks after that, I had an air cleaner in my room. Running every day. Every day. For one reason and one reason only. I had an air cleaner running in my room every day because I needed noise. That is it. That's the only reason. It's because I needed noise. And if I didn't have noise going, I wouldn't be able to do anything. And I was scared. I was scared that the anxiety attack would happen again. It has. I have had anxiety attacks since. And I just know how to better handle them now. Because I know what they are. After I broke down, I ended up in therapy for a few months, and it helped. But near the end of therapy is when everything shut down. And the pandemic changed everything. and I didn't deal with it in the most constructive way. But now it's a little different because I'm dealing with it differently. I'm going to split this up into 2 videos because I think I would be speaking a little bit more. I should break this down and make this easy to digest for you as it is for me, but I think it's time that I vocalize this. And I will do that in the next video.